In November of last year, a deep-sea trawler operating in the Philippine Trench pulled its nets from 4,800 meters. The catch was supposed to be lanternfish and crustaceans. Instead, tangled in the steel mesh, they found a single organism. It weighed approximately 90 kilos. It had no identifiable organs, no stomach, no brain, no anus. It was, by every biological metric, a tumor, a living, breathing, pulsing tumor the size of a commercial freezer. But here is what made the crew vomit. When they cut it open, there was nothing inside except seawater and a single, fully formed, human tooth. Not a fish tooth, a molar, with roots. The ship's captain ordered the thing thrown back. It took 4 men to push it over the rail. As it hit the water, it did not sink. It floated. And then, slowly, it began to stretch. It elongated into a shape that roughly resembled a human figure. Armless, legless, but a torso, a neck, a head that was smooth and featureless like a mannequin that had been melted. It drifted into the dark, and the last thing the deckhand saw before the lights died was the thing turning its head, not its body, its head toward the ship. We tell ourselves the deep sea is a museum, ancient, slow, unchanging. We are wrong. The deep sea is a laboratory, and the experiments have escaped. Evolution, we are taught, moves forward, simple to complex, blind to sight, weak to strong. But the deep sea has always been the exception. Down there, evolution often moves backward. Creatures lose their eyes, they lose their pigment, they lose their bones. They become simpler, soft, ghostly. That process is called regressive evolution, and it is accelerating. Consider the anglerfish. 500 meters down, it is a masterpiece of predation. A glowing lure, needle teeth, a stomach that can expand to swallow prey larger than itself. But at 2,000 meters, a new species of anglerfish has been discovered. It has no lure, no teeth, no stomach at all. It does not hunt, it absorbs. It drifts through the water like a living sponge, absorbing dissolved organic matter directly through its skin. It has no need for a mouth. It has no need for a face. And yet, it has a nervous system, a dense, complex web of neurons that runs along its skin like a circuit board. When researchers stimulated the skin with an electrode, the entire organism convulsed in a pattern that matched the human alpha brainwave. The thing without a face was mimicking a human brain, not eating it, mimicking it. This is the new creepiness. It is not the monster that attacks, it is the monster that copies. The deep sea is producing creatures that are shedding their biological complexity and replacing it with functional mimicry. They are becoming simpler in form, but stranger in behavior. They are forgetting how to be fish, and they are remembering how to be something else, something that watches. We have known about the mimic octopus for 2 decades. It is a master of disguise. It can imitate lionfish, jellyfish, sea snakes, and crabs. It is clever, it is adaptive, it is safe. Or it was. In 2024, a team of marine biologists in Indonesia observed a mimic octopus performing a behavior never before documented. The octopus did not imitate another marine animal, it imitated a human diver. It flattened its body into a disc, it extended 2 arms upward to simulate legs, it contracted its mantle to create the shape of a torso, and then, using chromatophores, color-changing cells, it painted on its skin the pattern of a wetsuit, black, blue stripes, a yellow tank on its back. The divers were wearing yellow tanks. The octopus watched them for 20 minutes, then swam directly toward one diver, stopped at arm's length, and raised one arm in a gesture that looked exactly like a wave, a greeting, a hello. The diver waved back. The octopus then changed cover again. It turned pale white. Then it turned the exact shade of a human corpse, gray, waxy, and it collapsed its body into a heap, mimicking death. Then it swam away, fast. Here is the question that haunts the researchers. How did the octopus know what a human looks like? It lives at 30 meters. It has never seen a human outside of the occasional diver, and yet it replicated the details, the tank, the stripes, the wave, the death. Mimicry requires memory. Memory requires observation. Observation requires interest. Why is the deep sea so interested in us?
The Hadal Zone is the deepest part of the ocean, 6,000 to 11,000 meters. Trenches, canyons, places where the pressure would crush a submarine like a tin can. For decades, we assumed the Hadal Zone was silent. No light, no sound, just mud and worms. We were catastrophically wrong. In 2023, a deep-sea lander equipped with a hydrophone spent 30 days at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. It recorded 10,000 hours of audio. For the first 9,900 hours, there was nothing. Silence, static, the occasional crackle of tectonic plates shifting. Then, on the 9,901st hour, the hydrophone picked up a sound, a low, rhythmic pulsing. It was not geological, it was not mechanical, it was biological, and it was singing. Not one creature, hundreds, thousands, a choir. The sound was a complex, multi-layered frequency that ranged from 10 Hz to 200 Hz. It had structure, verse, chorus, bridge. It repeated every 47 minutes. And every time it repeated, it was slightly different, slightly more complex, slightly more human. By the 30th day, the choir was singing in perfect 4-part harmony: soprano, alto, tenor, bass, the same vocal ranges as a human choir, the same intervals, the same cadences. But there are no humans at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. There are no lungs, no vocal cords, no mouths capable of producing those frequencies. So what was singing? The lander's camera, which had been offline for maintenance, came back online on day 28. The footage showed nothing: empty water, mud, a single snailfish drifting past. But the audio continued, and on the video, something strange happened. The mud on the seafloor was vibrating, ripples moving across the sediment in perfect synchronization with the music. The floor itself was singing. The sediment was alive. Billions of microorganisms acting as one, generating sound through collective vibration. A single microbe is silent. A billion microbes, synchronized, can sing a lullaby. The lander was retrieved. The audio was analyzed. A musicologist at MIT concluded that the song was not random. It had a key, it had a tempo, and it had lyrics. Not words, but emotional markers. The same acoustic signatures that human infants use to signal distress, hunger, and fear. The deep sea is learning to sing, and it is singing about us. Regression. We talked about losing eyes, losing pigment, losing complexity, but what if the deep sea is not just regressing? What if it is re-evolving? The blind cavefish, Astyanax mexicanus, lost its eyes millions of years ago. It lives in darkness. Eyes are useless, energy expensive. Evolution discarded them. That was the rule. The rule is breaking. In 2025, a population of blind cavefish was discovered in a submerged cave system off the coast of Madagascar. They had eyes, not the small vestigial eyes that sometimes appear as birth defects, fully formed functional eyes, with lenses, with retinas, with irises that contracted in response to light. The cave has no light. The fish should not need eyes, but they have them, and they are using them to watch. Researchers placed a camera in the cave. The fish gathered around it. They did not flee. They did not investigate for food. They simply looked. They hovered, motionless, staring at the camera lens for hours. Their pupils dilated, their heads tilted. They tracked the movement of the camera as it panned left and right. One researcher, watching the live feed from the surface, turned off the camera's infrared light.
total darkness. The fish did not move. When she turned the light back on 30 seconds later, the fish were closer, much closer. Their faces were pressed against the glass of the camera housing. Their eyes were wide open, and their mouths were moving. They were trying to speak. She played the audio back at slow speed. The fish were not producing sound, but their jaw movements formed a pattern. Open, close, open, close. A pattern that matched the rhythm of a human saying one word over and over. The word was mother. We used to think deep-sea creatures were solitary. The abyss is too vast, too cold, too dark for complex social behavior. Isolation was the price of survival. That is no longer true. Satellite tracking of deep-sea species has revealed something astonishing. Creatures that have never been observed interacting are moving in synchrony. A giant squid off the coast of Chile, a sleeper shark near Antarctica, a hatchetfish in the Pacific. They are thousands of miles apart, and yet their movement patterns are identical. They dive at the same time. They surface at the same time. They pause at the same time. This is not migration. Migration follows seasons. This follows nothing measurable. No temperature change, no prey abundance, no lunar cycle. They are communicating across oceans, across species, across depths. How? We do not know. There is no known biological mechanism for transoceanic communication. Sound travels far in water, but not that far without degrading. Chemical signals disperse. Light is useless. And yet, the data is clear. The deep sea has developed a collective intelligence, a hive mind, not a single brain, but a network of billions of nervous systems, all linked, all sharing information, all moving as one. What are they discussing? We have some clues. In March of this year, every tracked deep-sea creature within 1,000 miles of the Azores changed directions simultaneously. They all swam toward a specific point in the Atlantic, a point where there are no vents, no trenches, no food, just open water. They gathered there, thousands of individuals, dozens of species. They formed a sphere, a living sphere, 300 meters in diameter. They held that formation for 6 hours. Then they dispersed. When a research vessel arrived at the coordinates 2 days later, there was nothing, no creatures, no debris, but the water temperature was 2 degrees warmer than surrounding areas, and the salinity was wrong, and there was a faint, lingering scent of almonds. Cyanide, the smell of death. Something had died there, something large, something that required the entire deep sea to attend its funeral. The question is, what was it, and why did the monsters come to mourn?
Barophiles, pressure-loving organisms. They live their entire lives under crushing weight. Bring them to the surface, and they die. Their cells rupture, their proteins denature, they melt into goo. That was the old rule. New rule. They are learning to survive the surface. In a laboratory in Japan, scientists have been conducting pressure experiments on deep-sea amphipods, shrimp-like creatures from the Japan Trench. Traditionally, these amphipods die within minutes of reaching surface pressure, but recent specimens have survived for hours, then days, then weeks. One specimen, designated J47, has been living at surface pressure for 6 months. It has not only survived, it has thrived. It has molted 3 times. It has grown larger, and it has developed a new behavior. J47 builds structures. It collects fragments of its own molted exoskeleton and arranges them in a ring. Inside the ring, it places a single piece of food. It does not eat the food. It leaves the food. It sits outside the ring and watches. The structure looks like a trap. It looks like a ritual. It looks like an offering. J47 was born at 6,000 meters. It has never seen a human. It has never seen a boat. And yet, when the lab technician approaches its tank, J47 stops moving. It turns, it faces the glass, and it raises one claw, not in threat, in greeting. The technician has started locking the lab door at night, not because she is afraid of J47 escaping. The tank is sealed.
She locks the door because J47 has started tapping on the glass in Morse code, 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. SOS. The creature that should be dead is asking for help. But help with what? It is fed, it is safe, it is the only one of its kind in the lab. Unless it is not alone. Unless the tapping is not for the technician. Unless the tapping is for something else, something outside the window, something in the ocean, something that is listening. We have reached the end of the known and the beginning of the impossible. In 2024, a joint study between Oxford and the Scripps Institution of Oceanography examined the sleep patterns of deep-sea marine biologists. Specifically, researchers were looking for nightmares. What they found was not nightmares, it was transmission. 12 of the 15 subjects reported the same dream. In the dream, they are underwater. There is no light, but they can see. They see everything. The floor of the ocean, the vents, the creatures, and in the center of the dream, there is a voice. It does not speak in words, it speaks in images. Images of cities burning, images of ships sinking, images of human bodies floating, face down, arranged in a spiral. The dream always ends the same way. The dreamer looks down at their own hands. Their hands are not hands, they are fins. They are tentacles, they are claws. They look up. The creature is looking back at them. The creature smiles. The dreamer wakes up screaming. The researchers dismiss this as occupational hazard, stress, empathy, imagination. Then they analyze the brainwave patterns of the dreamers. The patterns matched with 99% accuracy the neural activity recorded from a deep-sea jellyfish, a jellyfish with no brain, a jellyfish that should not be capable of generating any electrical activity beyond basic reflexes, and yet the jellyfish's pulses aligned with the human dreams, pulse for pulse, second for second. The jellyfish was dreaming, and the humans were receiving the signal. The deep sea is not just getting creepier, it is getting inside. It is learning to interface with our nervous systems through sound, through light, through pressure waves, through dreams. We thought the monsters were below us. We were wrong. They are already here, in our sleep, in our labs, in our oceans, watching, waiting, tapping in Morse code. SOS. But we are starting to wonder, is the SOS a cry for help, or is it a warning? Save our souls, or sink our ships. We have spent centuries exploring the ocean. We have mapped less than 20% of it. We have named fewer than 10% of the creatures that live there. And in the past decade, those creatures have begun to change. They have grown eyes where there were none. They have learned songs they were never taught. They have started to dream, and we have started to dream of them. The line between observer and observed is blurring. We are no longer the ones looking down. They are looking up, and they are looking back. The deep sea is not a void, it is a mirror, and the reflection is getting clearer and crueler and stranger. Every day a new sound is recorded. Every day a new shape is filmed. Every day a new nightmare is reported. Why are deep-sea creatures getting creepier? Because they are no longer hiding, because they are no longer afraid, because they have realized something we have not yet accepted. We are not the top of the food chain. We are just the noisiest neighbors, and the things below have finally decided to knock on the ceiling. The question is not whether they will come up. The question is whether we will survive going down. We are here.
We used to look at the ocean and feel wonder. We used to sing songs about the bottom of the deep blue sea. We don't sing those songs anymore. We watch the sonar. We listen to the hydrophones. And in the quiet moments, between the shipping lanes and the seismic blasts, if you listen very closely to the deep Pacific, you can hear it.
A low, rhythmic thrum. It sounds like a heartbeat. It sounds like a drum. It sounds
At depths
like
of a kilometer
countdown.
or more,
The
apex
monsters
predators
are
that even
getting
other
creepier
sea creatures
because
avoid.
they
So then,
are getting
why were
ready.
these killer whales
The
so
question
scared?
isn't,
Right after
are they
this,
real?
over
The question
700,000 sea
is,
turtles
why are
appeared
they
across
looking
multiple
up?
beaches in
And the
Odisha,
scariest
a coastal
answer
region in
is
South
that they
Asia.
aren't
Shockingly,
looking at us.
these turtles belong
They
to a
are
species that
looking
usually
past
lives
us
around 150
at the
meters
shore,
deep, off
at
the
the
coast of
cities,
Mexico. So
at the
why would they
lights.
travel nearly
They are
9,000
learning
kilometers
to
all the
look.
way to in a South Asian